Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good day to everyone. We will go into the first chapter, which is Introduction to Economic Insights. For chapter 1, we will go to the issue of what is economics. Economics is a social science dedicated to understanding how individuals, businesses, governments, and societies make decisions regarding the allocation of scarce resources to satisfy their unlimited wants and needs. It involves the production, distribution, and consumption, human behavior and decision making, and from individual to global. In economics, we examine how goods and services are produced, distributed, and consumed within various economic systems. We also explore how individuals and groups make choices when resources are limited and connects personal choices to broader economic systems and global markets. The fundamental economic problem arises from the tension between unlimited wants and limited resources. So this condition necessitates economic inquiry. For example, unlimited wants is some human desires are endless. New wants emerge as others are satisfied. Individuals also may want more. And the economic challenge here is that we are faced with limited resources or scarce resources. Resources are finite and scarce, which includes land, labor, and capital, which is the labors of production. The factors of production. Time is a limited resources. So because of that, it involves the economic decision making. Scarcity forces individuals and societies to choose. And we face with trade-off and opportunity costs, where every choice involves giving up the next best options. And universal condition affects all economies regardless of wealth. Scarcity is a fundamental problem that human wants and needs are unlimited, while the resources available to satisfy them are finite and limited. The key characteristic of scarcity, a permanent condition that affects all economies regardless of wealth, creates a consistent tension between desires and means, applies to all economic resources, which is the land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Here are some real-world examples. Water in arid regions. Even seemingly abundant resources can become scarce in areas with limited supply. Time constraint. Time is always limited to individuals like students before exam. Global resource distribution. Resources are never enough to fulfill everyone's desire. Because resources are limited and wants are unlimited, scarcity forces decision makers to make choices, involve trade-offs, and consider opportunity costs. For every individual's everyday choices with opportunity costs, students choosing between textbooks and cigarettes, decisions based on limited income and time. For firms, limited resources and revenue must prioritize resource allocation to maximize profit, decision between investment and expansion. And for government, we face limited tax revenue and must choose how to spend revenues to maximize social welfare and decisions between competing priorities. There are three central questions of economics: what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. Stemming directly from the fundamental problem of scarcity, these three questions guide economic analysis and help understand how resources are allocated in an economy. What to produce, which goods and services and in what quantities should be created from finite resources. How to produce, what methods and process should be used to produce goods and services efficiently. For whom to produce, how should goods and services be distributed among members of society. These questions help analyze production distribution, and consumption in various economic systems. What to produce? Decision about which goods and services to create from finite resources. Consumer demand. Firms respond to what consumer wants. For profit motive, resources flow to profitable areas, and resource reallocation, moving resources between sectors. If consumer demand more smartphone, firm allocate resources towards smartphone production. How to produce? Methods, technology, and resources combination used in production. For example, labor versus machinery choices. In terms of technology, either the firms would use advanced or basic production methods. In terms of organizational structure, how production is organized. For example, labor-abundant countries may use labor-intensive methods, while capital-rich countries may use automated production. This question deals for whom to produce. This question deals with the distribution of goods and services among the members of society. It explores how income, wealth, and government policies influence who ultimately consume what is made. For example, market distribution. In market economies, distribution is often determined by purchasing power, which is linked to individual income and wealth. For government policies such as taxation, welfare programs, and social welfare safety nets plays a significant role in redistributing resources. In distribution impact, it addresses issues of equity and social well-being, ensure resources reach those who need them most, and help reduce inequality and poverty. The scope of economics. In the perspective of microeconomics, microeconomics is a study of how individuals, households, and firms make decisions regarding the allocation of scarce resources and how these decisions interact in specific market. For individual decision-making, how consumers decide what to buy based on income, preference, and prices, and how firms decide what to produce. For supply and demand, the interaction of buyers and sellers in individual market to determine prices and quantities of goods and services. Market structures, analysis of different market types such as perfect competition, monopoly, oligopoly, and their impact on efficiency. Resource allocation, how resources are distributed among competing users within specific industries or market. And pricing and production, how firms optimize their production process and set prices to maximize profit. The scope of macroeconomics examines the economy as a whole, focusing on broad trends rather than individual markets, national income output, economic growth, inflation, fiscal policy, unemployment, and monetary policy. Economic agents and their roles. For a household, primary consumer of goods and services, they make purchasing decisions based on income and preferences. They are the suppliers of labor offering skills and time for wages, and they are participants in capital market through saving and investment. For firms, they are central force behind production of goods and services. They organize inputs, for example, land, labor, capital, to create outcome and output. Aims to maximize profit through efficient operations, drive innovation through research and development. For government, regulators enforce laws and protecting labor property rights, providers of public goods and services, economic stabilizers using fiscal and monetary policy, providers of national defense and social safety nets. And for international entities, foreign household and firms participating in global markets, intergovernmental organization, participants in international trade and investment, facilitators of capital flows across borders. Market interaction and economic mechanism. Economic agents interact through market using pricing mechanism as communication tools to coordinate economic activities and allocate resources. For example, household as a consumer and supplier to market exchange prices and firms. Importance and application. This foundation knowledge provides a conceptual toolkit for analyzing how economic system operates and understand broader economic issues. For economic analysis, enable analysis of trade-off, efficiency, and resource allocation in various economic systems. Policy understanding provides framework for evaluating economic policies and their potential impacts. Future studies form essential groundwork for deeper exploration of microeconomics and macroeconomics, and real-world application equips us to understand and address contemporary economic challenge. Understanding economy provides a lens for understanding our world and making informed decisions.